Here on the Upper West Side of Manhattan is the only museum in the United States dedicated to biblical art.
We started with this very simple premise. There's this one book, the Bible, that's influenced our culture and our society more than any other book, plus led to 2 major religions. And we believe that it's very hard to be fully literate without knowing the Bible, because as far as the history of art, it has influenced so much of artistic representation.
Anna Heller is the museum's executive director.
If you know some of the religious traditions that led to the creation of these stories, if you know something of the original context for which these works were created and some of the original ways in which people related to them, interacted with them through the centuries, you're better off and you learn more about the work of art itself.
The museum recently featured the work of New York artist Tobi Kahn.
I thought Tobi was just the perfect match for MOBIA because he is a noted contemporary artist who is equally fluent in religion and in art, and that's rare today.
I think art is made for many, many different reasons. For me, it's about art taking you on a journey, and it's a journey that takes everything that the artist brings to it and everything that you bring to it.
A lot of what you see in the gallery was created for a sacred space, for a synagogue or another meditative space, and yet it looks just as well in a gallery. The Shalom Bat chairs are a very interesting new ritual object that Tobi really created. These are for the ritual ceremony of welcoming a baby girl into a Jewish family and naming her. And traditionally there was no big ceremony. Of course you had the bris for the boys and you had nothing for the girls.
When my wife and I got married and we were expecting our first child, I thought that if we had a daughter, why not have something that my wife would sit in the middle chair and my mother would sit on one side and my mother-in-law would sit on the other, and they would all wish for our daughter blessings from the Bible and blessings from the women in our family.
Later on, he realized that families are different. Not everybody has a mother and 2 grandmothers. Then the father should also maybe be involved. And so he went back to the Bible and created these 4 chairs as symbols of the 4 matriarchs of the Hebrew Bible: Sarah, Rachel, Rebecca, and Leah.
I think art is alive. I think that art lives. There's something to the fact that an artist is just a vehicle and the experience is the seeing. And I think I'm only part of any experience.
The Omer counter is a different example because that is a ritual that goes back really to the days of the temple. The counting of the Omer is the counting of the 49 days between Passover and Shavuot. The counting of the days traces the history of the Jewish people from slavery to freedom. And so traditionally the ritual is every day a prayer is said and the day is counted, is recorded. And traditional Omer counters are very small boxes that would have a roll inside with the days, and you would turn them so one day is visible at one time. What Tobi has done here, he's taken that very long tradition and he's completely transformed it sculpturally.
Each individual piece comes out and only can fit in one direction, and the inside is painted gold and the bottom is painted gold, and it has a little arrow showing you which direction is up and how it goes. And I'd love people to be able to count and do it this way. There are really 49 individual sculptures that fit into a sculpture itself. Time is so infinite and finite at the same time. And if you really believe this whole idea of going from slavery to redemption, there's something very powerful about holding time in your hand. I love that the museum exists. I did not make my work only for Jewish people. I'm more interested in people that care about art being redemptive. I mean, that's what interests me a lot, and that's what I wanted to show here.
We're trying to reach everybody. Most people have a relatively narrow definition of biblical art: old altarpieces and dusty crucifixions, or those very literal books that they've read in Sunday school. I think that religious art is art, and it's important for people to understand art. And the reason we're here in Manhattan is because New York has this extraordinarily challenging cultural milieu that I think gives us the pressure that we like. My favorite moments in the museum is when somebody comes in, looks around, and they say, "Wow, that's not what I expected."